Good morning to all the Miami Dolphin fans out there. I hope you're having a great Tuesday, day 2 of the negotiating window where teams can negotiate with players outside the organization. Of course, tomorrow, all the actions can become official. But as you know by now, the Dolphins have signed Mike White, quarterback, to be a backup to Tua. And then you signed David Long, who's a good under the radar signing at a good price. And he's really good against the pass, but then when you do some reading on him, he's also a good run stuffing linebacker. So it's a good pickup there. He did have a couple injury situations over last year, but if he's healthy, I know we hate that term, if he's healthy and when he's healthy, he is a good contributor on the team. And then of course we kept and are bringing back Duke Riley, who's a good clubhouse guy, good solid signing to bring back at a fair price, at a fair contract. So overall, a decent day. I know it's not maybe some of the big names that Dolphin fans are hoping for because, big names get thrown out there and people are hoping for the big sexy move, but that did not come into play yesterday. Doesn't mean it can't happen, but yesterday they were not players in the big market for the higher price guys that some Dolphin fans wanted to bring on board. Anyway, guys, thank you for joining me here today. It's going to be a relatively short show, so we can all go and enjoy, see what the Dolphins have in store today for us. Will they touch the tight end? It was pretty much of a slow tight end day across the league yesterday, a couple signings, but nothing earth-shattering. Will the day be the day that we touch the running back, or are we going to touch the offensive line? I'm not sure about the offensive line. You're not hearing many rumblings about the Dolphins improving upon the offensive line, but you do hear some running back rumors. Some of them are high priced. Some of them are bringing back people from the team like Mozart and Wilson. Some of them are the bigger going out there and trying to make a trade for the Delvin Cooks and Derrick Henry of the league. And so we'll see. None of us really know, but any of those names would be good. I would really like to bring Mozart back. He's a solid contributor to the team when he was healthy. He was, he had one of his better seasons for us. He got banged up there towards the end, unfortunately. But he is a good weapon, good speed, dashes in the holes, a good fit in McDaniels. So I would like to see him back. I know a lot of you want the Henry all over that. I'm not over the Henry bandwagon as much as you guys. But, of course, anyone that wears the aqua and orange, I will root for and be happy. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about David Long. To me, before this free agency period, and I'll be honest, I haven't watched much Tennessee football over the years. But then when I started seeing people say he could be a target for the Dolphins, I did start looking into him over the past few days leading up to today. So when I heard he had signed, I was happy because he is good. These are some next-gen stats. So he gets a lot of credit for being really good in coverage, which is important in Vic Fangio's defense. As we all know in here, they need their linebackers to be able to coverage during pass plays. It's vital to Vic Fangio's defense. But then again, if you look at this, I know we can probably use stats. That's what everyone does for Tua, against Tua, for Tua. So you can use stats so however you want. But for what it's worth, these are the next-gen chance as far as run stuff rate leaders. And out of the whole NFL, as you can see, David Long ranked high, which is, unfortunately, Matt Milano of the Bills did too. But what's funny is Bobby Wagner, who some people were hoping the Dolphins would be in on, he's also up there in that. So David Long is a good signing. I like it. He's not the big name that, the Tremaine Edmonds and those names that some fans were clamoring for. But, we do have some budget restraints. We've given a lot of money to some players already up front. We have to rework some contracts. So we're going to see where they want to disperse the next remaining salary cap. Yes, we can rework people's contract, give Wilkins the much needed extension, maybe give Ogba, rework his contract again. And, there are moves. Xavier Howard, you could rework his. So there are ways to create more space if the player that comes that Miami really feels they need becomes available. and they can make a move on him. But I like the David Long move. To make a long story short, I think it's good. I know he's not the big, huge name that everyone was looking for, like I said, but he's a good, solid signing. And when healthy, he's going to help this team a lot. Very good. And I like the Mike White. I know, again, there were sexier names, so to speak, for lack of a better term out there. But from what I would like to see, I hear this morning Heineke has signed with the Falcons. I would like to see what kind of money he got in the contract. I haven't seen that yet because it was about to go on air when I found out Heineke had signed with the Atlanta Falcons. So Barry Jackson yesterday, he had an article in the Miami Herald saying that he had talked to some agents. He wouldn't name the agents because then he would kind of disclose the player, and the agent had told him not to name anyone. So he says that the Dolphins had contacted him about his client, but the Dolphins weren't willing to meet the parameters of what the quarterback, backup quarterback is. So, so I guess it was a pretty strong demand for some of these quarterbacks that they're getting paid the bigger money, and the Dolphins did not want to go to where they were going to outbid someone for a backup quarterback. So just more for the proof that they're all in with Tua. Mike White's a solid signing. He's not well established as, like Gardner Minshew and Tyler, Tyler Heineke. But, he's a solid signing. And if Tua goes down, we're going to be in trouble anyway, as last year was evident. And just maybe we'll give all the Skylar fans some hope, because maybe Skylar can compete against Mike White. I personally like Mike White, so I'm not the best person to, talk against Mike White, because he's a local kid from down here. His mom actually played a part of both of my sons because she was part of the school system, and both of my sons had contact with his mom in school. So, that's kind of a cool story. And still to this day, if they bump into her in the stores, they remember. I even know my one son's away at UF. My other son's, in 11th grade already. And this was way back in 5th grade when they had contact with her. But, still a cool family. Cool that their son now plays for the Miami Dolphins. And it was cool seeing the pictures of him in the Miami Dolphins clothes when he was a little toddler. So that was cool. So personally, I like the signing. I know he's not the name that we were getting banty about. Yes, the Pembroke Pines boys, Ender. That's where I'm from, Pembroke Pines. So, and yes, Steve. Good morning, Steve Malloy. I look forward to our show tonight on the Fins Talk Sports Network when we join the fellows with the bandwagon and have a 4-panel show to discuss all things Miami Dolphins. Hopefully, there will be more tonight in that regard. So if any of you guys want to join my show, I can drop a link and you can join me. I'm hoping my internet stays. It's telling me my connection is unstable. And I don't have an Ethernet cord right now to connect into the router, which is just advised me to do. So we'll make it short anyway, like I said today. I'm hoping that more Dolphin news, and then we might have maybe a breaking news if any of the bigger names come on that. I know most fans are saying, man, we don't have a tight end and we don't have running backs, and everyone's focused on King Henry and Eckler and Cook. But, those are going to be big money signings, and I would rather get a younger running back and go with that. And I would really love to see the line built up, but it doesn't seem Miami's focus on the offensive line yet this offseason, because we have done a lot of resources in the past to fix the offensive line, and I guess they still have hope in some of those players. But like Steve is always saying, we need a better offensive line. And don't worry, Justin's not here, but he still knows he's going to take care of your jersey. His schedule just changed, and he's no longer going to be a part of this network here. But you can still contact me, and I can reach out to him. And when he gets the jersey, I know it takes a long time, but he is still working on the jersey that you had won over on the Fins Talk Sports Network. So he still plans to take care of you. It's just taking a long time. Anyway, now back to the fun of telling you to make sure you like and subscribe. Thank you very much. And you guys make this network fun. We're going to grow. I'll probably be changing my time now that Justin's not part of us here on the show anymore, I may change it to maybe some evening hours and whatever. I'm dealing with new retirement life and all that, so I'm a little more flexible than I used to be. Hoping for some of you guys. So, Steve, what do you like about the David Long signing? I know you say he comes in day one as our best linebacker, and I would tend to agree with you on that note. And it may not be a high bar, unfortunately, but I do agree with you that he might be our best linebacker the minute he signs the contract officially tomorrow after 4 o'clock. So you are right on that regard. So Ender, are you in Pembroke Pines, Ender? I forget where some of our good fans are. So guys, put in message. I was hoping Anthony would be in here today and throw him in here, but he doesn't seem to be here right now. He was here for a few minutes earlier, and we will see. So, like I say, this is going to be very short. Yes, I agree, Steve. And the funny thing is, when you and I first talked about David Long, we talked about his health being one of his strong suits. Then the more you read about him, he actually did miss some action over the past few years. Okay, Ender, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I'm way out here in West Pembroke Pines, but we go to Miramar pretty often, west part of Miramar, because when I say West in Pembroke Pines, I'm almost on US 27. That's how far west I am in Pembroke Pines. So I go to Miramar quite often, actually. And speaking of New Jersey, the reason I go to there a lot, I go to Jersey Mike's in Miramar a lot. So there you go. There's a connection. Yes, but Steve, I agree. It's funny though, because like I said, you and I talked yesterday about Mike White, and we're saying, oh, the good thing is he's healthy. Then I get to where I can actually read more about him, and then he missed games last year, and he has missed like 13 games over the past couple seasons. But when healthy, he's good. His last injury was a hamstring. He should have which is annoying during the season if you get a hamstring, but now he has on whole off season, and the hamstring hopefully will not be an issue moving forward. So that will be a solid signing. I agree. And it's at a very good price. We didn't overpay. They didn't go crazy yesterday, which I'm happy, because, it's easy to overpay in the market when you say, oh, I don't want to lose this guy to this team. Let's rework another guy's contract that we don't really want to rework, but rework it so we can sign this guy. And I'm happy they didn't panic. And it seems like the running back class and the tight end class of this free agency, it's going to be a slower process. Maybe we see more movement on that front today. Thank you, Finn's Talk Sports Network. We were just plugging you about our show tonight. So thank you. Make sure you guys all join us tonight at 7:30 p.m. and Eastern Standard Time. And it's going to be a panel for hopefully talking about some big moves today. See if we get any shiny new cars today. And Steve Malloy, he's still a young guy. That's a positive. Yes, David Young is too. Eminem, because everyone's saying, oh, Jalen Ramsey's old and he's past his prime. The man's only 28 years old. And, every receiver, as Bobby's good friend AJ pointed out, you're going to get burned as a corner. Because people were showing, him getting burned on some plays. Every good corner that's ever played, yes, him and Deion Sanders has been burned before. So, you can, you can find Dan Marino throwing bad passes if you want to nitpick. You can see Tom Brady throwing bad passes and making bad reads and going thinking there's, another down when there's already a fourth down play. So it is what it is. There's bad stuff on everyone. John, Jalen Ramsey's updated. Oh, did they update it? Did they free up money? See, I have not seen that, because the other day there was talk that it had been done, hadn't been done, and Barry Jackson said he hadn't been able to confirm it. So that is good. So do you know how much cap space we're looking at right now, neither Steve or Bobby? That I was trying to look at today, because I know Brett had said we had around 7 million. Ramsey was due to make 17 million. Oh, wow. That is good. Thank you. Thank you, Bobby. I had not seen that, so that's good. That is good news. So hopefully we got some money to play with, because as I saw last night when it was breaking news, the Bills are freeing up money. I don't know if the Bills are freeing up money. I don't have any inside information. If I don't have any inside information on the Dolphins, I sure as don't do the Bills. But the Bills created a lot of cap space yesterday. So I don't know if that means they're going to be in on Henry. Okay, thank you. That's a good amount of cap space to play with today before the signing period tomorrow becomes official. So I don't know if the Bills are doing that to bring back some of their own guys, like a Poyer, or do the Bills do that because they're going to be in the market for a Dalvin Cook or a Derrick Henry? It's going to be interesting to see, because they're not freeing up that money for just to have it. They're doing it for a reason. So we're going to find out soon enough. But now the Dolphins can be in the market. I know a lot of people want Schultz, but I hear he's going to come very, very pricey. And I don't know if that's just more of a shiny car that we don't really need when we need maybe a Foster, Moreau, who's more of a Ford F-150 type, from the Raiders. Because Schultz from the Cowboys, it seems like he's going to probably be the highest price tied in this market, and we shall see. So I know a lot of Dolphin fans want him as well. So we always want the shiny new stuff, is how it goes. Any big name that becomes available is always almost instantly linked to the Miami Dolphins with our reputation of going and getting those guys. Yes, Steve, because they realize it's just a time, any minute, that Aaron Rodgers is going to be announcing he's going to the Jets, because he's not going to walk away from that money and retire. Most people won't. Of course, Aaron Rodgers walks to a different beat than most of us, so you never know. But I'm sure it'd be breaking any minute. I know he has his show today on the Pat McAfee show, so maybe he's going to break the news then. He has his weekly appearance today, is what people are saying. Who knows? But I see the Jets are negotiating with the Packers receiver, so that could be another hint. And yes, that's after June 1st, and you really, that $13 million that comes from the Jones, that's going to basically be signed to the rookie class. Of course, at this point, you may not even have a rookie class if we keep on walking like we've been walking, especially if we get one of those running backs that's still under contract with their current team. Who knows what we're not going to have much money for the rookie class, but hopefully we hold on to the second and third round pick. Because like Bobby likes to say, and I relate it to some people want the shiny Ferrari in their driveway. So everyone says, oh my God, look at that fancy Ferrari. And some people want 4 reliable F-150s in their driveway just to make sure they're reliable, get to where you need to do the job you need to do. And that's how I relate to free agency. And like Bobby likes to say, is you can make the Titanic look all beautiful, but you needed more nuts and bolts. And those are the lower price players. And just like the Ford 150 one, that's a lower price reference to the shiny. We already got our shiny Ferrari and Jalen Ramsey, but according to Bobby, at least we're not paying him like a Ferrari price this first year. So that's good. Really like to hear that. So Bobby bringing in the good news. That is awesome. Thank you, Bobby. Anyway, back to who? Okay. Oh yeah, Mike White. I touched on him a little bit. Like I say, yes, he's not the big sexy name. I would love to see if one of you guys find out what Tyler Heineke signed with the Falcons today, what kind of money he got, because I just don't think the Dolphins wanted to, allow that much money to that backup quarterback position. That's the main reason, and just further evidence that they're all in on Tua and everything. And I think maybe this will, because some people love Skyler, some people don't like Skyler, but this will probably give him a better chance to compete for the real second backup job than if he was, if they had brought in a big name, Skyler would have just been practice squad material maybe, or he would have been on the active roster just because of our history of getting quarterbacks. And I think most teams now are going to carry 3 quarterbacks on the active roster, but he would have been definitely third string behind a Heineke or a Gardner. With Mike Wright, who knows, maybe there will be a big competition, because the coach, Mike McDaniel, had said he wants to bring in competition. Steve jumped over that quote for the quarterback room, but I always thought that meant for the backup quarterback spot. And I think that's what it means. So I think with Mike White and Skylar Thompson, they will be given a fair chance to battle it out for the backup. I personally think Mike White will win, but we will see. It's going to, the money he got is not that great unless the incentives kick in. If Tua gets hurt and Mike White plays a substantial amount of football, the young man's going to make pretty good amount of money. But if he stays on the bench, it's a very fair contract for the Dolphins, and one that Barry Jackson said that the Dolphins could walk away from next year without much of a hit. Same thing with Duke Riley. We brought Duke Riley back, who's a good, solid team player. He's very well liked in the locker room. He does a lot of things well, maybe nothing super. Last year, he was basically our best coverage linebacker, which isn't saying much because he wasn't great at coverage, but he's better than what we had. Now we got David Long, so he can really fill in, do a lot of things on special teams. He's a good leader. He's a lot of fun. I like him when he appears on the Joe Rose Show, so I'm happy to have Duke Riley back. I know, Steve, you want a Ferrari in the running back room, and it can still happen. They're just going to have to let the running back market play out. They're going to have to let the running back market play out, it looks like, because it looks like none of the big names moved there yesterday. Just like I said, at tight end, really nothing moved yesterday. So we're going to start seeing, like Bobby did say, the Dolphins don't really needed Poyer, but that was the name I wanted just because that's the reason I like Mike Wright. He's a local guy. And so is Poyer. I like bringing those local guys home. Doesn't always work out, but I just think it's always a good story. And it's cool that the Miami Marlins baseball team actually drafted Poyer back in the day. So I thought that would be a fun story for my Miami Dolphins trivia down the line. Speaking of, guys, it's Trivia Tuesday. I will have a new Miami Dolphins trivia coming out later today at some point. There's all kinds of trivia, draft prospects on my website, the moves that we've made yesterday, any moves that come today, of course, will be covered. And I may be adding whatever comes available today and mentioning that the Dolphins have salary cap thanks to Bobby of the Fins Talk Sports Network. I know Dolphins have more cap space now. So it should be another interesting day, another day of looking at Twitter every few minutes. And I really don't like Twitter that much, but at this time of year and draft time of year, I become like almost there. Refresh, see if there's anything new going on. So, I would be happy when this is all over so I don't have to sit there doing that again to see what Rick Kerr doesn't buy Ferrari when it comes to running back. He likes Kias. That's a good reference. There you go. And like I said, but as long as that Kia can be reliable and go forward, I think it's fine. It's fine because the 49ers, until they got McCaffrey, they didn't necessarily go huge, bringing in running backs and stuff like that. So, you never know. But I would, G-Man, like it. And I know, G-Man, you really want the offensive line. And the only where I disagree with you is you said they don't try. I do think they tried. They just failed at getting those offensive linemen for whatever reason. But they have used resources. Kenny Mack, yes. There you go. I like him. I know a lot of people don't as much as what you and I do because I talked to some other people. David Steiger of the Fins Talk Sports Network, he's not as high, and I respect his opinion. But to me, I liked him there. I threw him up for you. And I actually like him too, and I think he'd be a good fit in our system. There's a couple running backs in this draft that I think would be good fits in our system. But, like I say, that's why I would rather draft a running back than go for one of the big. Oh, I thought I had Spears card up here. I have it made. I just must have not have put it on here, unfortunately. But, yeah, there are guys that I would love. Let's see. All right, at this point. Yeah, I did see that from that's the one guy I followed all the time. I follow my Barry Jackson. To me, I know he gets a lot of heat from his takes sometime and everything from, but that's just how Twitter is. But as far as local guys, of course, no one's going to match the Ian Rappaports and the Adam Shafters of the world. But as far as local team, I think Barry Jackson stands out for giving updates on stuff. he's the most veteran reporter there. He probably has the most connections with the team. And you can even see that at the press conferences. Mike McDaniel always picks on Barry. It's good banter back and forth because Barry gets down right to business. And Mike's like, well, not even a hello, because he gets him that double question right away. So it's fun. But Barry's normally very on point. Sorry, guys, I would put myself back on screen. But if I was you guys, I'd rather see some of these banners than me anyway. I was really thinking I had spares up there. That can't be the only running back I have right now. I'm sure I have some other running backs. I just must have not have made them, unfortunately. So anyway, I do have one more running back, but he's another guy that would be a good fit for Miami. I know he's on the smaller size and all of that, but he's another guy I like. And it's up there. I thought I had Spears, but I guess I know I have it. I guess I don't have it. I don't have it up there, which is all that matters. So hopefully, though, that the Dolphins do get a good running back. Like I said, I would love to see Moser and someone else come back. So that's what I would like. Make a couple moves there. Bring one of our guys back. I think at this point, Wilson. So let me see. I can get that comment off there now. There you go. Anyway, guys, this is fun stuff. Hey, Steve, G-Man. Oh, okay. I see Steve and you both acknowledge each other. G-Man, you can join us both tonight and on Bobby's network. You see Evan and Michael Vogel. I was surprised it was another Vogel the other night, so I don't want to mess up names. But Michael Vogel is tonight. There was another Vogel on their network the other day. But that was fun. So, Bobby, I appreciate you coming in with all that new information. I had seen the Cook thing. I know, G-Man. I do get mad at Ross sometimes, and I do agree he cost us that first round pick. But I also like Ross, on the other hand, because not many owners would keep on reworking these contracts and paying guys up front. That's money right out of his pocket. He's signing blank checks to these guys, Chris Greer. So for all the bad Ross does, he also does good stuff. He makes some boneheaded decisions. But like I say, I like Ross overall. I know I might be in the minority if we did a poll. Do you like Stephen Ross or you don't? There's some things I can tell you I don't like Stephen Ross for. I don't like that he went to this logo and took some of these logos away. I think this is my favorite. Yeah. The logo, minor things like that, I'm frustrated with. But as far as an owner spending money, I think it's, we can't complain. And yes, please join us on Real Talk on the bandwagon tonight. And you won't be just stuck with me. You have a whole bunch of other bozos along with me, being led by Evan. I know he doesn't watch this show, but Bobby can go tell him I took a little shot at Evan Posner. But he's fun, and we always go back and forth against each other. I haven't liked since he changed the logo. I agree. I am with you. But let's face it, if the Dolphins go on win the Super Bowl with this logo, it's going to become a lot better looking. So, I think we just all relate, because basically since we've had this logo, we haven't done jack. So I think a lot of us relate that, and I know that's what I do. It has grown on me a little bit over the years, but I still rather rock. If I have a choice, and there's a shirt in the store, I always go old logo over the new logo. But being the Dolphin fan I am, everyone knows it's an easy gift. They don't have to think about it, so they buy me Miami Dolphin stuff. So I just go with whatever logo they give me. It's almost a given on birthdays and Christmas. I'm going to get something from the Miami Dolphins, because after all, I am Dolphins thirsty, always thirsty for Dolphins information, which you can get on dolphinthirsty.com. What logo? I know. I grew up really. I know the Perfect Season logo is the one that they go back to for the throwbacks, but I grew up with the one that came directly after that, the Dan Marino years, so David Woodley, Don Strock, AJ Dewey, Evan Posner. He picks on me for that being my favorite all-time Dolphin player, but he was my first ever favorite, number 77 out of LSU. 3 interceptions against the New York Jets in the AFC Championship game in the mud. It was a great day, and I met AJ Dewey. and he was a really nice guy. I got a picture floating around with me as a little kid meeting AJ Dewey. It was really cool. So he will always be my first favorite Miami Dolphin player. So that logo is my favorite logo, not the Jimmy Johnson looking, which is still better than the current one, but that's what I like. I agree. That's what I was saying. I can imagine, like, because in baseball, I know this would surprise some people because I'm a South Florida guy, born and bred, still live here. I'm in the minority. I've been here 53 years. But in baseball, there was no team when I was a kid, and I picked the Boston Red Sox. Can you imagine if the Boston Red Sox went away from the red B on their hats, as in, went for some new fancy smancy? The city of Boston would be torn down. Fenway Park, it's like it would be going nuts. That's why I say classic teams to just stick with their logo. I agree with you 100%, G-Man. There you go. Well, I don't know about that last part, but he was a great player. I don't know where he stands or whatever that way, but that's great. However you are, that's America. That makes America great. Choose who you want. But for AJ Dewey, he was a lot of fun to watch. Really nice guy, really cool. He treated me like, I thought I was like so cool. And way back in the day, I met him at Burdines in Dadeland Mall. Burdines isn't even a thing anymore, but you older guys will remember the store named Burdines. And I met him there, and he was really great. Let's see, it's a 2-year deal, worth up to $20 million per source, Atlanta. See, I don't think the Dolphins were, at first, of course, Mike White's numbers came out huge first, so we would have to see the real numbers behind that. But if those are real numbers, I can see why the Dolphins didn't touch Tyler Heineke. We will see. But, when Mike White's numbers, Bobby and I first saw, like, 2 years, 16, we were like, 16, oh my God, the Mike must be really, really crazy. But as it turns out, that really is almost a lot of play monopoly money unless he lives up to all the, incentives in there. So, because it could be as low as like $1 million something dollars. So, we will see. And yes, I agree that this logo, that's why I think a lot of us don't love it as much. I agree with you 100%, G-Man. But if they go on and win a Super Bowl, this logo might start looking a little bit better, I guess, in our eyes, because it's just because we know that the performance. Yep, he is a South Florida kid. What's the past 3 quarterbacks from the Dolphins have signed to be backups? Jacoby Brissett was a South Florida kid. Teddy Bridgewater was a South Florida kid. And now Mike White, 3 years in a row, we bring in a backup quarterback that played high school ball down here in South Florida. But it's cool. And like I mentioned, Mike White is really in my neck of the woods. He played at he was a couple years ahead of my kids, but he played at the same parks that my kid played baseball at. His mom was a teacher in our schools where my sons go to school. So it's just, it's really cool. And it's a good story. But just hope he never has to play. That's all. Because if he has to play, then it's not a knock on him, but it means Tua's hurt again. And, it is what it is. Thank you, Steve. And thank you for giving the proper credit to who reported that. I won't even bother saying his name. Oh, I would like to thank the Miami Dolphins on behalf of Steve Malloy and myself for signing guys with easy names to pronounce. So if tonight we have to talk in prime time, we don't have to be saying some crazy names. Jalen Ramsey, David Long, Mike White. Keep those names coming. I love it. None of these Oso Fupa Manufos or whatever that you have to pronounce. I love these names that the Miami Dolphins are signing. Keep it simple so I sound like I know what I'm talking about. So, like forever, I was afraid to say Tua Tagovailoa because I would screw up his name all the time. I would just say Tua because it's a lot easier. But, I finally said, well, the guy's going to be around long. I better learn how to say his name. But some of these names are crazy. So I love it. Mike White, David Long, Jalen Ramsey. Let's keep those names coming. I love it. I mean, if we go with Steve's boy, Derrick Henry, I can pronounce that, so I can live with that. Dalvin Cook, I can pronounce, we can live with those names. That's easy enough. So I know that's who you want. I'm just not as big on him because I'm afraid he's going to have mileage. I'm not afraid it's like what some people say, oh, he's not a good fit for the zone good players are going to be good no matter what. It doesn't matter. I'm not worried about that. I am worried about the mileage on them and more or less that. Yes, another name that's easy to pronounce is Kenny McIntosh. I like that fact. Yes, it is. I like stuff like that. So it's really good, you know. Anyway, back to the tight end. I know I keep on getting away from the tight end. Where do you guys bring? Do you think we need a tight end, or we're gonna? The more moves we make, it looks like we're gonna go tight end in the draft. Which I know a lot of people don't like the rookie tight ends because it is a position that takes a little bit longer. I know Steve loves himself some Darnell Washington, the tight end, but I'm not sure if he's going to be there at 51. So, because a lot of people have them inside their top 25, and I was seeing some, but I know Daniel Jeremiah of the NFL Network has him like way up his rankings. He's like 21 overall or something. So I don't know if Darnell Washington will fall all the way, but you never know how the draft board falls. Teams draft by need, teams draft by who they think is the best player available. So there's all kinds of scenarios where certain players could fall. I am now, though, with the David Long signing, I'm going to have to start changing some of my mock drafts. I don't think linebacker is going to be necessarily because I had always put almost 90% of the time I was drafting linebackers with that pick 51. Could still be, though, because one signing doesn't the team make. You're still going to need some people. But like now, I'm going to have to look. Maybe I draft a tight end on my next one at 51. Or, I would like to see offensive line. G-Man would be happy. I know G-Man and I would probably prefer a veteran offensive lineman, but it doesn't seem like, doesn't mean anything, though. It does not mean anything. But there's been no whispers of offensive line this season. And so far, the Dolphins have been pretty straightforward with us. I know in the past, they fed us a lot of BS. But they said Tua was number one quarterback almost the minute the season ended, and all their actions have led up that Tua is the number one quarterback. But they've been telling us that they're happy with Austin, Jackson, and Eichenberg, and so far their actions are looking like they're happy with them. Doesn't mean today we can't find out. There's breaking news: the Dolphins have signed an offensive lineman. So but so far they've been pretty straightforward on what they would like, and that's why I'm surprised more. I guess it just can't come to terms, is what Barry Jackson was saying with Moser or Wilson, because they have been pretty straightforward saying that they would like those guys back. So, and I know another tight end on the free agent market, going back to tight end, of course, is Mike Gesicki from us. So hopefully he goes and signs on some team, just not against us where we have to see him a couple times a year, but just hope he goes somewhere and does okay. I'm just worried that in 2 years we're going to. Yeah, I know. That is true, Jimmy. That's a worry about building teams the way we are. But if Tua becomes the guy, that's a big, big if, then you're not as worried, because then you still got your main key, the quarterback's the main key, and then you can build around him. But that's where it all comes, because like the Rams did it all, but they, Stafford's okay. He won the Super Bowl and all of that, but now they're tearing it all down, and we will see. But with that said, if they win the Super Bowl and then they have to tear it down, yes, it's going to stink, because I wanted consistency, because that's what their goal was when they built this, when they did the tank, which is, we don't like saying around here. That was, we're going to build through the draft, and we're going to, we're not going to throw money and go overspend for needs. But here we are now, and we're just doing it a couple years down the road. But yes, if we win a Super Bowl in those next 2 years, because we do have about how this contracts are set up, you are exactly right. In about 2 years, a lot of that big money, no longer going to be able to kick down the road. But if in those 2 years we get some playoff wins and a Super Bowl, it would be worth it. And then try and maintain the best you can. I'm surprised that the Eagles are losing so many, because the Eagles, I thought, were going to be set up. I know they have a number 10 overall pick this year and everything, but I thought they were set up for the long run, and now they lost a lot of people. So we will see. I mean, the best way to win is the way it's like New England did for years, this consistency over time. Very seldom signing big names. They got a little more desperate after Brady left that first year. They went and signed some big names, and that hasn't worked out for them. But overall, and then they had the benefit because once you establish that, a lot of veterans went to come and try to chase a Super Bowl ring with you and would sign on with you for less. And that's what New England lived and thrived off of. And Bill Belichick knew how to develop that. So that's why I want the Dolphins to get to. But at this point, I'm not like Steve. Steve is old and a little bit older than me, so he's old enough to remember the Super Bowl wins. I do not remember that. I remember the Super Bowl losses of the 80s. So, I would love one Super Bowl at this point, and we stink for a couple of years. What's the difference? We haven't won a Super Bowl, and we haven't won a playoff game for 20-something years. So winning one Super Bowl and then not win a couple of playoff, be in the playoffs for a few, I can live with that. That's what I live every day now without having the feeling of knowing what a Super Bowl feels like. I'd be able to live with that. But yeah, ideally, I would love to be like Kansas City, have rookies playing in the Super Bowl and just rebuilding, having 11 picks for this year. Just keep on rebuilding, keep on rolling. Like the San Francisco 49ers have all these extra picks. They basically gained a whole other draft by having all these compensatory picks. And that's a lot easier to just keep on rolling but the big thing is you got to hit the draft. And that's where, the Dolphins sometimes don't do too well, is actually hitting the picks. Because I give Chris Greer credit in the fact that he knows how to establish getting some access, getting some draft picks from people when he was in that mode. Now he's in the mode of using those picks to go get some other players. But he knew how to get them. But unfortunately, he didn't always, once he got them, he didn't always use them correctly. So, and often drafted for need and panic instead of just taking the best available player. Eichenberg's a perfect example. They panicked, moved up, gave up a third-round pick in the next draft to move up just to get Eichenberg because there was a run on offensive line. You can't panic in the drafting. You should either see this coming or you say, okay, we're not going to get the lineman, but who's our best player available? Just take a deep breath. Take your best player available. It's never going to hurt. But then they started saying, oh, my God, but we need a lineman. That's why we have Austin Jackson, because we know we needed a lineman. And all the other good ones were off the board, so we know we had to get Austin Jackson. So it's just when you put yourself in that position, it's never a good thing. And that's where Chris Greer is not good. He's good at, flipping stuff to get draft picks. He's just not good at using those draft picks, in my opinion. Of course, he's had his hits. It's basically throwing darts at a dartboard sometimes for the draft, it seems like. So that's why I'd rather have more picks than less picks. And to me, the 2020 draft has been a disappointment in the first round so far, because here we are going into the fourth year, and Tua's the closest thing to a good player we got from that first round. But we're still wondering if he's really the guy because of his injury history. And none of us think Austin Jackson's the guy. None of us think Igbo's the guy. And there's a name I won't pronounce, so you're going to have to know when I say Igbo, who I'm talking about. Noah, or whatever, I can say his first name. So, that's been a disappointing draft. That could have been a generational draft that set us up a foundation for years to come. But instead, now we have to go out and overspend again and get other people's stuff and panic and draft and move up and get an Eichenberg and stuff like that. So that's what happens when you have to draft for need most of the time. Anyway, I'm going to let you guys go. Like I said, running solo is not as easy as bantering off other people. That's why I like a two-person show. And in the future, I would drop a link in so all you guys can join. But I will be on not just a two-person, not a three-person, but a four-person show tonight on the Fins Talk Sports Network. And we will have a lot more Miami Dolphins information. Hopefully, there's big news. I might refresh Twitter out of respect to you guys. I haven't seen you guys break any big news. Bobby at least told me what the salary cap was, so that was nice. So I don't think we've missed anything. So now it's go time to refresh that Twitter feed and see what's happening for our Miami Dolphins. Again, guys, please like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you for joining me today. And I'm happy I've made it through the show because my internet keeps on telling me that I have unstable connection to plug into the router. But we've made it through. So, guys, fins up. All you guys are great. Make sure you like and subscribe. Join us tonight, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Fins Talk Sports Network, where Real Talk Fins Talk meets the bandwagon, and we all get to talk about our thoughts over these first couple of days of free agency. And it's all fun always. There'll be a lot of good banter going back and forth tonight. So make sure you join, and we will see you guys tomorrow on here. Maybe I will see if there's anything worthwhile, since I'm solo now, and I'm just going to do more of a like breaking news type stuff and any topics of interest like that. So, guys, fins up, go Dolphins. G-Man, Kenny McIntosh rules just for you. Go Dolphins.